If Ralph Ineson is in your demon possession movie, make sure you bring a blanket, maybe some candles, somebody there to give you a nice warm hug after the movie, and sleep with the light on, okay? So let's review The First Omen. The First Omen stars Nell Tiger-Free, Ralph Ineson, Sonia Braga, and is directed by Arkasha Stevenson. What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2024 review. One of my most anticipated movies of the year. Interestingly enough, I'm not the biggest Omen fan, but when I saw this trailer, you can tell how a movie's shot just by the trailer. And I could tell that this was not going to be your standard low-rent kind of, I guess, for lack of a better word, Blumhouse, crappy, jump scare, CGI, possession type movie. No. This one's definitely a bit more highbrow, actually a lot more highbrow in just the way it's executed. Everything feels fresh, everything feels creative, but also it's a good story.
It's all, don't.
It's the mark of the devil.
It's a really good prequel, and I'll even put this out there right now. As far as prequels go, thinking back, this might be the best prequel I think I've ever seen. Let me know in the comments if I'm forgetting. I can't think of a prequel that's just like freaking amazing. I'm sure I'm missing something here, but this might be the best prequel that I can think of. So first off, let's give you a quick plot synopsis. We as horror fans, we all know the story of the Omen movie, the First Omen movie, even though this one's called The First Omen. Kind of confusing, right? But the original Omen movie from the late 70s, it's a classic. And one thing I do like about this movie is when it first starts, it's set before that in the, I think, 60s, late 60s, something like that, at an orphanage. You have this newcomer to the convent named Sister Margaret. She's going to Italy to help with this orphanage. And then she comes upon this one child at the orphanage. She's more like a teenager by the name of Carlita. And she's warned about her that there's, I guess, sort of like a demonic aura around her. But she does take an interest in her. And it seems like every time she comes in contact with her, she sees things that she doesn't know if it's actually there or if it's not. We, the viewer, aren't quite sure what's real and what's not. And when you're dealing with these possession type movies, we all know that the devil can play tricks on one's mind, and that's par for the course in these types of films. Interestingly, at the beginning of the movie, she meets this housemate by the name of Luz. I guess she's a new nun in training as well. And she takes her under her wing at first, and she takes her out to this club. You know, they're wearing civilian clothes. They're pretty much partying. And it's kind of like you're about to go on this journey of celibacy. So let's sow our wild oats. And if you look into other religions, like say the Amish, when they're like 16, they will actually do stuff like this. You know, for a whole year, they'll party and whatnot. I don't know if they do this in the nunnery, but that's what this character Luz does. And I think she's a great character because she's a big question mark. You know, in a movie like this, where really nobody's to be trusted, including maybe even the main character, because of the mind control that's going on. I don't want to say mind control, but you know what I mean? Like possession, demonic type control that could be happening. Really, anything's fair game. And this character Luz, major question mark. You're definitely going to be wondering about her throughout the movie. She's young, she's very attractive, seductive, all that stuff. Now, Ralph Ineson plays Father Brennan. He is kind of the harbinger of doom of this movie. He pulls her in and tells her that there could be some tomfoolery going on with the church. I'm not going to go into specifics. That's spoiler territory. I don't want to go into that. But this is one of those situations where not everything's to be trusted. And this really is where the movie kicks into high gear. But I think the main focus of this is Margaret, and you're constantly following her, and it seems like she keeps going down a darker and darker path, and she's being affected by all of her surroundings. And then the elder nuns, they're not really that supportive or passionate about her. So the table is really set for leading up to what we find out in the original Omen movie. With Damien and all of that. We all know that that's where this is going to lead. But how it gets there, just get ready for some surprises, okay? And some horrific imagery. And speaking of that, let's start out with, I guess, in the pros, the horrific imagery. I'd say right now, this is a true horror fans movie. As a matter of fact, at the press screening I went to, quite a few of the press there, they're not like major horror fans like I am. And I came out of this just goo-goo-eyed, like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for. And some of them, they were majorly turned off, and that was just great for me. I think a really, truly effective, scary horror movie is not going to be for everybody. If everybody likes the movie when they come out of it, that could be a red flag for me. I like a movie that's so controversial and pushes the envelope and has disturbing imagery that it might give a certain audience nightmares, and not of the good kind. Arkasha Stevenson directs this movie flat out beautifully. It really could fit right in with those 60s and early 70s films, just the way it's filmed. It doesn't look like modern day. And I mean that in the best way. Because everything these days, when it comes to horror, not everything, but a lot of the more predictable type stuff, the more cookie cutter horror films that we see today, they all have a certain sheen to them, a certain look, that modern feel. This definitely feels like a product of its day, which is really cool. Sound design is amazing. The shots are carefully orchestrated throughout, and they're creative as fuck. As far as like setting up scares. Yeah, there's some jump scares in this movie, but they're effective jump scares. They don't depend on just like a loud musical thump, right? A lot of times the jump scare could be in conjunction with like a transition. And it's unsettling. In some of the scenes, if you edit it in a different way, then it wouldn't be scary at all, but it's just taking regular, mundane events and marrying them together, and in the transition, you get a scare out of it that's pretty damn effective. And you'll see what I'm talking about when you watch the movie. I probably didn't explain it the best way. Nell Tiger Free is flat out amazing as Margaret. This is a character that's really dug in from the beginning of the movie. She's, naive at the beginning of the movie. But almost immediately, as she gets into this orphanage, they start messing with her head and really seducing her to the darker side of life. And she notices it immediately, and she doesn't trust what's going on. And she's like, I'm supposed to be here to be helping people, and instead I'm being seduced and toyed with. And this ties in with the scares because as far as like a physical performance, there are some really unsettling scenes that she has to pull off as an actress that are quite startling. And I've never seen anything like this in a horror movie. But all the scares are definitely suited towards the story as to what's going on. And I love, when you have just a variety of great scares, and sometimes just the silence can scare you. Sometimes, a loud noise can scare you. And I talked about transitions and just a very creative direction for a horror movie. But the story keeps you guessing as well. It definitely has some surprises along the way. There is a pregnancy scene that is quite shocking. That's all I'll say about that. And this is a horror fan's horror movie. Now, let me jump into, I don't want to call this cons, but the movie Immaculate just came out, and both these movies definitely have some similar traits to them. I think they're different enough, but you're going to notice there's one aspect to each movie that is very similar. And it can throw you off a little bit because, for every Armageddon, you have a deep impact, right? For every volcano, you have a Dante's Peak. This year just happens to be Immaculate and The First Omen. The both movies, they have similarities. They deal with convents and the Catholic Church. And with that comes a little controversy. You're going to get that. Anytime you deal with Catholicism and religion, there might be a little bit of controversy tied to it. But I think both movies are different enough in just the themes and how they are directed. But they're both fantastic films. This film right here, I can't tell you if I like it better or worse than Immaculate. It's that close. I think I like it maybe a little bit better, just as a full meal of a horror movie. I think Immaculate delivered everything in that last act, you know. But it was a nice build up to it. Whereas this one, you're going to get disturbing imagery all the way through it, and some crazy performances. And I think this one keeps you guessing a lot more than Immaculate too. So I'm giving this a Trapped on an Island. This was amazing, The First Omen. It was so good that it made me want to go back and at least watch like the first 3 Omen movies, because I've heard people say that those first 3 are really great. Ignore the 4th one. Let me know down in the comments if that's the way to go. But definitely jump on this one as soon as you can, guys. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, Review for Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on my social. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Drumdum out.